Hello everyone, I am Amit Sharma and I welcome you all at SVAR, India's most followed and leading gems and jewelry media house. Today we have with us Baylee Zwart, founder of Āzlee. Hello Baylee, I welcome you at SVAR Talk Show. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good, thank you so much. Baylee, the brand which was founded in 2015 by you, the brand talks about how it merges the ancient practices of jewelry design, Art Deco architectures, and the romance in the natural world. We would like to have a little more deeper inside conversation about how this brand came into existence, what was the idea behind it. So if you can just run us through the whole story of having Āzlee come into place.
Of course. I was always really interested in fashion. That was just part of my life, part of my identity. Loved playing around with clothing and looks. And then through college, I became really interested in photography, and I kind of thought I was going to do fashion photography. And I worked at magazines in New York, Glamour and Allure, kind of explored that world, but was kind of missing the ethical component of the fashion industry. And it was kind of the beginnings of fashion taking on some of those nonprofit values and integrating them into for-profit businesses. So I was really interested in that space. And so I ended up very randomly moving to Guatemala for 6 months to work at a nonprofit down there that was making fair trade accessories with women artisans. So they were doing a lot of cool work, and it was very niche, very small. And then they were selling it to different big retailers in the United States. So it was a really interesting look at working with bigger retailers, but working with small artisans, and having those two worlds collide. And then in the nonprofit model of business, I was down there, and just where I happened to be living, there was a ton of metalworking going on, and very randomly started shopping around an idea of someone making me a ring that I had thought of. One of the jewelers I went to, he was this master German metalsmith, and he was like, "Do you want to make the ring? I don't know how to. Is that an option?" And I started studying metalworking under him. So I started with this ring, fell in love with jewelry, fell in love with the process. Yeah, just started studying with him on the weekends because I was still working full time while I was down there. I was alone down there living with a local family. Most people didn't speak English. So it was kind of this weird, perfect opportunity to find something that I just fell madly in love with. I was just, alone in my own head, in my own world a bit in a way. So I found this passion, and then moved back to the States, started working at Tom's Shoe, which was kind of the leader in combining the one-for-one giving model with a for-profit business. So I was designing shoes and footwear and doing product development with them, and found a jeweler to stay open late for me at night, and designed the entire first collection while I was still at Tom's, and then officially launched it in 2015. And it's just a combination of my deepest passions, which is something that's relevant in the fashion space. I love luxury, something that gives back. So I was like, if I'm not going to dedicate my life to working for nonprofits, I really want to work with nonprofits. Partnered with different ocean-related causes and worked with those different nonprofits that are working in that space.
Talking about the kind of pieces that you build in, your pieces often blend influences from ancient civilizations or the natural world. Could you share how these themes have shaped your collection?
I love traveling a lot. I have always loved ancient history. When I first started designing, I innately designed very Art Deco. I didn't know very much about that era, but I had a lot of clients and buyers in stores looking at the pieces being like, wow, this is kind of Art Deco. So that was just a natural way for me to design. I've always liked architecture and clean lines. But then I've also always had this soft spot for mythology and history, and I love museums, and I decided to start doing coins and dive into that history and bring that element into the collection and try to find the balance between more architectural silhouettes combined with this romantic history component. So those are kind of the two worlds I'm always playing in.
There's always a beautiful duality at Āzlee when we talk about the modern yet timeless, minimalistic art and symbolic. What is your understanding of creativity and inspiration?
Exposing yourself to different things, stepping out of your comfort zone, which like spawns new ideas, new ways of thinking, new ways of seeing things, new experiences, just kind of like opens up your mind to think in different ways. That's kind of my process, is to usually go out and put myself in those situations, learn new things, expose myself to new art, architecture, designers, just different parts of the world. And I'm not necessarily like directly inspired by those, but I think it helps open my mind to possibilities and seeing things, because I tend to design by like something will just pop in my mind visually and I can like see the entire piece all at once. And if I don't sketch it like right then at that point, or design it and put it down right then, I kind of can lose the thread because I can see it so clearly in an instant and then it can be gone later. So yeah, I think just like putting myself out there in the world to open my mind to then come back and like be in the office, be with my books, be with my team, and have those moments of inspiration that are kind of a conglomeration of all different things I'm making sure to expose myself to throughout my journey.
So, if you talk about the modern luxury, how do you define modern luxury, especially in the context of the fine jewelry today?
Modern luxury, I feel like it's an ever-changing definition, but I think the modern way of looking at luxury is figuring out your own style, your own aesthetic, your own loves and passions, and then discoveries and experiments. And, it should be kind of a continuation of like yourself and feel like an extension of yourself. But that takes a lot of work to figure out, what is your taste? What do you like? What do you not like? What do you feel good in? What brings you joy? So I feel like that's like the modern way of looking at luxury, and that's what modern luxury is to me. We've seen women slowly start to buy for themselves, buy fine jewelry for themselves, buy contemporary, interesting jewelry. And I feel like because of that shift, we've also seen designers be able to design a lot more creatively, because clients are seeing fine jewelry as more than just like marking an occasion or being gifted it for an anniversary or getting a certain thing on a certain date to commemorate something specific. It's become a lot more intimate than that. Because that door opened, now designers can also design in a really creative, intimate way that the piece will find the right client, and it can be conceptual, but it will resonate with someone. If you get it in front of enough people, someone's gonna like fall in love with it. And I think that's a shift from the past history of jewelry and kind of how jewelry's been seen, how it's been designed, and then how it's been worn. And it's just been being worn in a lot more casual of a way. Like fine jewelry was more occasion based, or you take it out of your safe to wear it at certain times. Women are really wanting to wear fine jewelry every day. And men, are starting to think about jewelry and like what it looks like to adorn themselves, what stones they get excited about. So yeah, I feel like a really interesting time in the space.
Now, Baylee, sustainability being a core part of Āzlee, what are some of the steps that you've taken to ensure ethical production and responsible sourcing?
Supporting people that are doing work in that space. So since the beginning, we've always partnered with different nonprofits that work in the ocean space. That's just a personal passion of mine. Love the ocean. I surf, I scuba dive. I've directly seen the impacts on the ocean, especially throughout my scuba diving career. So yeah, that's something just close to my heart. So we've worked with some amazing organizations around the world that are like the leaders in that space. So it's been very cool to support them and also communicate their efforts to our clients and expose our clients to ways of getting involved, whether it's like a beach cleanup in Santa Monica that we're hosting or sponsoring, conversation among scientists talking about water, inviting people to those kind of presentations. So that's been wonderful and always been integrated into the brand. And then local production has always been at our core. Previously in different industries, seeing production, and it made me realize that I really wanted to be hands-on with production see it every step of the way. Jewelry is also like such an intimate thing. I wanted to see it, you know, after wax, after casting, after polishing, after setting, like every step. Also be able to see exactly what environments our stuff is being created in, you know, get to know the people intimately, get to know the dynamics, and just understand kind of what we're supporting in that element of production. So we do everything locally. We've also brought in more and more reclaimed diamonds, vintage diamonds, because obviously those new mining, which I think is really amazing. We worked with ocean diamonds, which came from Namibia from a team of scientists, and that didn't require any mining because they're like found on the bottom of the ocean floor just through scuba diving, through like hand picking, no machinery involved. The vendors we work with, people who have a lot of transparency in their supply chain, that are handling buying the rough, cutting it, seeing it to us so that we know exactly who's been touching it the whole way through. Yeah, and then recycled gold is also something that most of the collection is made with. Like all the things we're making is done from recycled gold that's third-party certified. We're doing our best in the space to try to address things, but there's, you know, we're constantly doing research and work to improve.
Nice to know that. My next question to you, Baylee, is there are a lot of pieces that you've been designing all these years. Do you have any personal favorite piece or a collection that holds special place in your heart? And what's the story behind that?
Last year, we created these really conceptual earrings that were like part ear cuff. They still had it was important to me that there was still a proper earring, so they still had a post so that you wouldn't lose them, they wouldn't fall off, something that kind of covered your whole ear. Those are called the dewdrop earrings. I wanted to do something that was like, felt very different than us, but using our core signatures. So I wanted to create something like really fluid with a lot of movement, a lot of soft edges, which you don't always see from us since we're more geometric based. But I use signatures like the staircase concept, which is a concept that we have like throughout the collections, which is ascending levels of gold. Part of it was this texture that you see throughout the collection, pave stones that trace the entire piece, like in the classic way we set our pave is signature for us, as well as like keeping pieces stiff but having a little bit of movement, so it's not too overly feminine, too busy, but has like this modernity but has a little bit of movement and sparkle. So use that concept in that piece as well. And yeah, they're just a joy to wear, and they're such a conversation piece, and no one's, I feel like, seen anything quite like them. So that's been really fun. And that's a concept we'll continue to build on. But it took like 10 iterations with our jewelers of working through getting it to fit every ear perfectly and sit on the ear correctly. So it was just a journey. Me and my production manager went on with our jewelers, and it just went on, and we at one point didn't think it was going to work. So very gratifying to eventually get it right and have people just fall in love with it the same way we did.
Great to hear that. Recently, you have collaborated with Gemfields, which is known for their responsible source gemstones. What drew you to this partnership, and how did it shape the creative directions in the collection?
Yeah, I mean, I've been so impressed with Gemfields' work. They're such a leader in the space and out of different countries, and like the impact on the communities, both the people and environmentally. And they're doing a lot of work around mitigating their impacts in that way, and giving back to the communities, giving back to the governments, really supporting and making it a more long-term sustainable. I was really excited to connect with them and learn more, also just in their own words of like what they're doing, how they're addressing different issues. Yeah, like what their vision is for everything and their goals. And yeah, I was super excited about that. We have like a very strong emerald business. We use a lot of emeralds in our pieces. So I was really excited to work with them and get connected to vendors that are vetted by Gemfields, buying from Gemfields, so that we can share that story with our clients and our retail partners, start integrating their emeralds more and more into our collections. So we got to do this capsule collection of 8 special pieces. And since they came from Zambia, I really wanted to like do a subtle nod to the region. And there's a lot of flowing rivers through Zambia. And I kind of took that as the premise of the collection and created pieces that had like a lot of movement, a lot of flow to them, a lot of play on shapes and movement. That was really kind of the foundation of the collection, and then we built from there. And we even took I wanted to do something that was signature to us as well, but in a new way. So we took our staircase concept, which is usually really hard edges, really hard lines, and we softened it all to kind of nod to the flowing rivers and introduce that in a different, softer, new way.
Now, when we talk about the new world fashions and the mass production, how does the brand Āzlee stands out for its conscious luxury? And how do you think consumer perception of fine jewelry evolving?
In a world of fast fashion, being in the fine jewelry space is a really special opportunity because there's not a lot of spaces in the fashion world where you can produce locally at scale. That alone is the unique thing to the jewelry industry that I love. The fact that we have craftspeople that are so highly skilled, like right out our door, and we're able to work so intimately with them, and how amazing their teams are, working conditions, water, like all of the things that come with it. So fine jewelry has the opportunity. Not every brand takes that opportunity, but I think that's like such a beautiful opportunity that we can be doing things locally and oversee, our own supply chains. You try to get visibility on where all your materials are coming from the best you can, but the whole production part can be like very, you can have full transparency in that regard. So I think we stand out in that way. And it was a big question for me, like whether to do costume jewelry or fine jewelry. I really chose fine jewelry because it's something that lasts generationally. Nothing is wasted, even the gold dust is brushed up and reused because everything's of such value. And that's hugely appealing to me because that kind of like conserves the space a bit and conserves the materials and the waste and the loss and things that come in other parts of different kinds of industries. So yeah, I love fine jewelry for that reason. And taking stones out, remaking pieces for clients, using the gold that they had. It's just kind of a circular system that the product exists within, which is incredible. Just the way people are wearing jewelry is very different. Having fine jewelry be such a casual daily experience for people. It's built such like an intimate relationship with people and their jewelry, and an opportunity that I don't think, people would wear their heirlooms that they got generationally. They kind of like inherited pieces, and that's what you wore. But to have this new era of people like really discovering their own style within the space, their own tastes, their own, what color of stones do they enjoy wearing, and then getting to educate themselves on that and learn more. It's just there's just a lot of exploration, I feel like, going on for brands, for clients, for, the amount of retail stores that are carrying this new contemporary fine jewelry, like that realm, that like part of the industry just didn't really exist as strongly 20 years ago as it does now. Daily contemporary fine jewelry, houses, makers, jewelers, it's all very new. And I think customers are really starting to adopt it, love it, live in it, understand the power of it. And so are stores. So it's just an ever-changing industry.
And Baylee, finally, what next for Āzlee and incoming edition and directions? What are your ideas you're currently exploring?
Well, we are hitting our 10-year anniversary this year, so that's definitely given me a lot to think about, of looking at the past to kind of understand the future. But I've always been very globally minded, so we're always expanding internationally, which is really fun. Some of my first retailers were in London and Paris. We're expanding into different regions, which is so exciting. Give us an opportunity to dive in and educate ourselves more, educate our clients more, and highlight leaders in the space. That's a huge priority for us. And then, we do a lot of custom work also. That's a big part of our business. So I think my vision is being able to do, more and more incredible one-of-a-kind pieces for clients and be working hands-on with them, one-on-one, and create something that is treasured forever. Have always been going in, but even more so in this era.
Thank you so much for your time, Baylee. Well, with this, we come to an end of this interactive session, Baylee. It was lovely talking to you and knowing insight about your brand story. Your vision for Āzlee is truly inspiring. From SVAR, we wish your organization many congratulations completing 10 successful years.
Thank you so much. It was so nice to talk to you too.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back soon with more such interesting conversation with the leading personality of the gems and jewelry industry. Until then, I am Amit Sharma. Sign off. Take care. God bless.